Welcome to the Virtual Career Connections. I'm Noelle Cadaspati, head of the Academy with the Risk and Insurance Education Alliance, and I am joined by Jeanette Ward, CEO of Texas Mutual. Hi, Jeanette.
Hello. How are you, Noelle?
Pretty good. Thank you for joining us, which for what I believe is one of your favorite topics to talk about. Am
Absolutely.
I right? Careers in insurance.
Careers in insurance is something I'm super passionate about.
Well, we have an audience generally of high school students and young folks who may not have considered the career yet. So I'm going to ask you the question. When you were in high school, is this what you imagined yourself doing, working in insurance?
Never. I was in high school a very long time ago, and quite honestly, careers in insurance weren't really a thing that I even thought about. And in fact, I went to college, had no idea what I was going to do, and sort of stumbled into insurance, which I think has happened to a lot of people. It's different now. It feels more intentional for people, but back then it wasn't even a thought in my head that I would ever work in insurance.
But we are, with the intentional thought here to encourage folks. And I think you're right. I think more the industry, the folks that have fell into it or stumbled into it or chose it early on are really making that intentional effort of sharing their stories. And we're so excited that you're here to talk about the industry and careers. So you got drawn in. What made you stay? Because it is fun and exciting, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah. So this is how I describe, I had graduated from college. I was also a very young single mom. So I had my daughter in high school. Don't recommend kids. Put myself through college and then graduated and was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? I mean, I had no idea. I'd gotten a government degree and just, I thought maybe, I'll work for the state. And, but I had student loans and a job opened at Texas Mutual, which at the time was called the Texas Workers' Compensation Insurance Fund, just rolls off the tongue. And I thought, well, it's just, be my temporary job until I find my real job. And I started as a receptionist in the executive office, making $17,000 or $16,000 a year was my salary. And so I really didn't know what insurance was, what workers' compensation was. But what I really started noticing, even in that entry-level receptionist role, I was able to add value because there was always something that needed attention. There was always a problem that needed to be solved, which I discovered in my later years. Problem solving is my superpower. And I just loved it because it was like, okay, there's a new issue that needs, even an administrative level, there was always something that needed to be solved. And that's how I was able to move up and move around in my career from administrative roles to eventually roles in the financial services kind of part of business analytics, to eventually running the claims division, to eventually becoming chief operating officer, to eventually becoming the CEO. All along the way, I loved it because I was never bored. I was always learning something new every day. It was always a new problem to solve. And I ended up having a life and a lifestyle and a career and career satisfaction that I never even dreamed would be available to me. So that's why I love talking about careers in insurance. That's why I want so many people to join our industry, because there's something for everyone and it's never boring and it's incredibly satisfying.
I would totally agree. And, I've always loved hearing your story, and I too love the problem solving part of our industry. You've spent so much time at Texas Mutual, but for our students and other audience members who are listening, can you tell us what Texas Mutual does and maybe a little bit about workers' comp and for the students who may not know what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Texas Mutual is a workers' comp insurance carrier for the state of Texas. We're the largest provider of workers' comp insurance. We have about 40% of the total Texas available market. We write about $1 billion in premium. But what we do essentially is businesses, think of your favorite restaurant. Chuy's is a Mexican food place across the street from me. if, they buy a workers' comp policy from us, then we're going to work with them to help keep their employees safe, work safe practices. You think about knife handling, slipping and falling when there's water on the floor, things like that. And if one of their employees is hurt on the job, then we're going to give them the medical care they need through our insurance, and then replace any income they might be missing while they're away from work. And in return, the employee, because there's workers' comp coverage, can't sue the employer. So it protects the employer. They can stay in business, continue to create jobs, and it protects the employee who's hurt on the job because we give them the medical care they need. We make them help make sure they have income while they're not working. And so it's a really great system that I think really helps the economy continue to flourish, because we're not dealing with these with people who are basically then relying on public assistance. We're there to help them, and the businesses are protected and they're able to kind of not worry as much, especially. And it also really incentivizes safe workplaces for those employers as well.
One of the other things I really love about Texas Mutual, and this could very easily turn into a Texas Mutual commercial, but one of the things I love, yeah, no problem, right? Is that not only are you there for the insureds and the businesses for that purpose, but you also are a community partner in so many ways, helping people establish safe workplaces or programs that promote safe workplaces, and then supporting different kinds of workforces. Certainly at the Alliance, we're a beneficiary of the great support. You helped us with supporting our CISR high school program and education for insurance. So, what a great role model you are for all insurance companies in our industry. So we're very appreciative of that.
Yeah, we're also a little bit different. So we were created by the state originally, but we're a private mutual insurance company. But we basically are there for every business, and our special role, and the reason we were also created by the state was because we provide coverage to those employers who might not be able to get coverage from a publicly owned insurance company. They may not want to take on the risks. So think about the highest risk business you can think about: firework manufacturer or dynamite manufacturer. There's other companies that may not want to cover that because the risk of there being an accident is pretty high. So we actually have to cover them if they're not able to get coverage elsewhere. Luckily, there's not that many companies that fall into that category. But we actually also do more. We provide coverage for every kind of business. And then we also have a special program where if you have a safety record, you don't have a lot of claims, and you stay with us year after year, we pay those businesses a dividend. A portion of what they paid us, and that way they're able to reinvest that into their businesses, into safety. And you're right, we also think about anything we can do to invest in making sure there's a ready, trained, safe workforce ready to take the jobs that employers have. We believe in investing our resources in that as well. It's a lot of fun to work here. I wouldn't have been here almost 31 years if it wasn't a place where we get to do the right thing, because we are essentially a not-for-profit insurance company, and we're mission driven. And that's a different kind of place to be. All insurance provides that critical economic backstop and protects people, businesses, makes people whole again. So insurance in general is great for that, but I have a special place in my heart for mission driven companies like ours.
Yeah, well, no, it's great. And I think it really resonates with the newer generations coming into the workforce, being mission driven and being able to contribute. And it's the part of the industry that I don't think we have told publicly enough. And I do think we're doing a much better job. Certainly other organizations like the Insurance Careers Month and others are promoting that as well. But turning to the younger generations thinking about coming into the industry, where do you suggest someone starts, right? Or what are the paths that students should be considering when they're thinking about careers?
You mean besides just taking a temporary job till you find your real job?
That one.
There's a lot of resources out there. I mean, there are programs like like the ones that you guys host, which I'm really proud that we're supporting. There's certifications you can get. There's a lot of schools. So when I went to college, there were not risk management programs, and there definitely wasn't one where I went to college. But there's more and more risk management programs around the country. I'd say also think about, everyone knows an insurance agent, or your parents probably know insurance agents. So like use your connections to connect, connect on LinkedIn. I just think that the more you can build your network, and this is something I think is critically important and something that I didn't value until later in my career, and something that helped me grow in my career, was the importance of networking. And I think about that a lot with younger generations. We're all on our phones. Even I'll admit I need to put my phone down sometimes, but putting the phone down and making sure that you're thinking about how you can meet new people. You never know what those relationships can do for you, or you can do for them in the future. So I think about that a lot too. And if you're really nervous about walking into a room or networking, that's probably the thing you should do the most, because the best way to learn and grow is to experience it firsthand. And if you're scared of it, that's where you probably need to learn and grow the most. So I'm a big proponent of networking.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And oftentimes the hardest part really for anybody is to make those first connect, whether it's a young person doing it for the first time, or maybe a new employee coming to a new company.
Yes.
I know it's hard. It's hard for me, and I've been in the industry 25 years now. So that's great advice. We recently produced a session that hopefully everyone can find on our LinkedIn or YouTube about branding with our friend Tandeka Nvete at Spencer Educational Foundation. And she gives some great tips on the elevator pitch and really knowing yourself before you go into those situations. So a little plug there for an Alliance resource from our friends at Spencer.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's so critical. And I'm an introvert who had to learn how to extrovert, but now I'm completely comfortable walking in those rooms. It's amazing how the more you practice something, the better you get at it, and the less the nerves, and then you feel proud and accomplished, which is awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So there's a lot going on in the world, from, technology and other things. What do you think are the trends or biggest opportunities that young people have coming into the industry, given some things that may change? Or
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change. The way I think about insurance is there's something for everyone. So like, if you're a compassionate person who has a big heart and you want to take care of people, claims adjusting is the path for you. Analytical, statistical, math, underwriting, actuary, there's stuff for you. But there's also a host of other things in the industry. There's a ton of IT work. Technology, if you love technology, there's so much opportunity there. Communications, marketing, there's just a plethora of things that you can do, and you don't have to have an insurance background per se, as much as, like I said, maybe just be good at problem solving and figuring things out, and someone who likes to learn and grow. So that's kind of, there's something for everyone, and the jobs there's opportunities to contribute in many different ways. I'm hearing a lot from people like, oh my God, are we going to get replaced by AI? So technology, insurance is driven on technology and data. There's no doubt about that. But when you think about the reason insurance exists, is to help people when they've had their worst day possible, a really bad car wreck, their house is burned, flooded, or someone's been seriously injured or killed on the job. And so you have to work with those folks that are impacted, or their family, to help them manage through that process. So when I tell people all the time is AI is not going to replace that. This industry requires a personal touch. Mm-hmm. But what I'm excited about is, I think AI and technology already can make those jobs more enjoyable, and even help people, so that you're able to really focus on the part of the job that you do best, which is taking care of the person on the other end of the line or who you're helping through a crisis. And the machine is going to be a thing that's going to help you navigate you to where you need to pay attention, get rid of the non-value added tasks so that what you're doing is really adding value every day. So I'm excited about that aspect of the industry. I think that it's going to happen in every job where the things that we really don't need to do can be automated, and then the machine's going to help focus us a little bit more, but then we do what we do best, which is take care of people, build relationships, all of those things, understand community issues and how we can help. So I'm excited about all of that. I think it's going to make, because every job is a job. Like there's good and bad parts of every job. I have my days where I'm like,
Yeah. Wouldn't be called a job otherwise, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
But my vision is that we can harness all the technology to make it so the less pleasant things can be done for you, and you can really focus on the stuff that's going to fill your heart or mind with growth and experience. So that's what I'm excited about.
And I love that the folks that do work in the industry, so many of your colleagues that I've met at Texas Mutual, like the passion is about helping people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We can be problem solvers, and I like digging into spreadsheets and things like that, but it's all around the mission. It's all around the passion. It's all about helping people, and that's why I love it. But I get that from you and your colleagues around the state of Texas all the time, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, you make a difference. And that who doesn't want to do that, right?
So when I was in the industry more as an underwriter, one of my mentors gave me a book. It was called Notes to Your Younger Self, or a bunch of seasoned professionals had wrote notes to their younger self. So I want to ask you the question, what is something that you wish someone would have told you as you were starting your career, or what would you say to your younger self as you were embarking on this career?
I think the biggest thing that I've figured out is some people call it imposter syndrome, but I actually don't like that word anymore. Like the feeling like you're not supposed to be there, or you don't belong at the table, or your ideas aren't good enough. I decided imposter syndrome sounds like a disease. So what it really boils down to is how to develop confidence in yourself. And a lot of times what I figured out is like, okay, I'm this girl, I don't know anything. What am I going to do? Why am I in this room? They're all judging me. And so I was putting intent and just making up stories about other people's judgment of me. And what I finally realized is like, no, it's probably my own judgment of me. I have no idea what these people are thinking.
Yeah.
And so finding a way to put aside that critical thought in your head and understand what your value is. You talked earlier about like those elevator pitches. Mm-hmm. This is a little bit deeper work. I think that's part of it. But before you can do the elevator pitch, it's really understanding like, what is your superpower? What value do you bring? Because here's the deal. Every single one of you bring value. You have diverse perspectives, experiences, ways of thinking about things. So everyone has that value. So what is it that you can do and add value? Or what are your thoughts and ideas? And don't be afraid to express them. Have confidence in what you're bringing to the table. And once I figured that out, which was really later in my career, and started applying that, I was authentically showing up as who I am without worrying about what other people were thinking about me, because I can't control that. And that's when my career really started taking off. So that confidence in yourself, that understanding the value you provide is the most critical thing you can do. It takes time. You have to learn. And sort of underlying that is having that growth mindset, right? Every time you try something, it may not always work when you express that opinion, but what do you learn from that? What did you not know that you now know, and now you can do a better job next time?
That's great. I love that. Yeah, I think probably if I thought about it, I could probably pinpoint somewhere along my career that moment, but it does take some time, and for some of us a little longer than it probably should have taken, but yeah, that's great.
That's okay.
Right? It is. It probably took someone to tell me to stop thinking that way. And the more you
It
hear
did. Yeah, it did. So yeah, getting a mentor, a good coach along the way is also a good thing, because it does help to have someone who kind of puts that mirror up to you. And there's so many times that I'll tell people either in the room, sometimes like, hey, you haven't said anything. Do you have something to add? Or afterwards, like, hey, next time, I know you have good thoughts. Why don't you share them? Having someone encouraging you along the way too is super helpful.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I often remember going into some of my first underwriting meetings and just being afraid to ask questions because I thought they were going to be dumb. And
Oh yeah.
then somebody else would ask the same question, and I'm like, I guess it wasn't dumb, or they're just more courageous. I don't know, but it definitely, you're definitely right on there.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great example of, the learning and growth mindset is the person who's willing to ask questions so they can learn, right? And not be afraid to do it in the room.
So we've talked a lot to our student audience with them in mind, but I do want to ask you one question about what you would say to our industry leaders, because I do think for quite a number of years now, we've talked about the need for talent, where to find talent, how to bring talent into the industry. And I have heard you speak on this a couple of times, and I do love your mindset. But what kind of advice would you give to industry leaders? Why is it important to invest in young talent, and maybe take a chance on the non-experienced? We're always talking about experienced professionals, but so what would you say to your colleagues and peers around the industry?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's just a stark reality that everyone should know about, that there's data to support the fact that we are going to have a lot of retirements. A lot of experienced insurance professionals are going to be retiring over the next 5-10 years, and it's already starting to happen. We're celebrating retirements left and right around here for the first time in the 31 years that I've worked here. And so that in and of itself is a business imperative of why we need to be investing in younger talent, the new generations of insurance professionals. So number one critical part, what we've experienced at Texas Mutual. So we started our trainee programs for claim underwriting. We now have a premium audit trainee program, and we've done safety and IT too, but largely it's been around the claim and underwriting adjuster and underwriters, is bringing in, 7 to 8 adjuster trainees, 7 to 8 underwriting trainees every year for 6, 7, 8 years now. I think underwriting's gone even longer than that. It's a large class, and as we've gotten better at building the program and recruiting and figuring out, sometimes you're like, okay, I kind of want a little bit of experience and skill. What we finally figured out is what we really need is people with growth mindset, able to learn and adjust, and compassion and heart of service. Bringing in people with the right attitudes and then teaching them the technical skills have just paid off for us hugely. There's so many resources that can help teach the technical, but it's getting people that have the right heart for insurance is really the most critical thing that I would focus on. It's just paid off, and we've already seen some of those trainees have moved into leadership. They first got promoted underwriter 2 specialist into leadership positions too. So watching them grow is one of the most gratifying things that I can say that will be one of the things I'll be most proud of in my career. And I'm wanting one of these folks to end up taking my job. I mean, I'm getting ready. I've only been in my CEO role for 2.5 years. But when I retire, I want to see someone homegrown from the company take over the helm. And I think that's what everyone should be trying for.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. Because there are, I do think companies that have that mindset are really going to win the war on talent, and we have seen that, and so grateful that is the approach you all are taking, and the workforce in Texas is benefiting greatly from what you all are doing for your company, for insurance, for its businesses. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. I'd say just a second follow on. The other kind of important thing that I think companies need to think about is evolving workforce needs. So we've been really doubling down on the employee experience. Like, what is it like to work here? And do you feel trusted to do your job, or do you feel like we're being too micromanaging? For example, because no one wants to be told exactly what to do. Like, you have a skill set, here's what we need to do. Can you get it done? And creating an environment of trust and then valuing what people bring to the table, I think is also going to win the day. And so that's another piece of advice I would give is you can't just keep doing this, leading the same way as new generations of the workforce come in to the workforce. Their expectations are going to be different, and we have to understand how to adapt as a company to create the experience where people can be their best.
Yeah, that's great. I think so many of us, when we came into the industry, were hoping for people, seasoned professionals, to adapt to some of our nuances.
Yes.
And so I think that's great as we just are aware that employee voice, that employee experience, how others have experienced the world differently than we did at the same age, and that's super important. I do love that.
Yeah,
you're just a guide to the whole industry. Like, here's how we do business, here's how we support the community, here's great ideas for encouraging employees. I'm super grateful that you're able to join us today and share your story and share your thoughts. When we were planning this virtual career connections, your name was the first name I wrote down as someone that we needed to get involved with, because I think that your story, your message is very important to the generation of students that are considering their careers. Certainly not all of them live in Texas, so they'll take your words of wisdom and hopefully apply it to the jobs and areas that they're pursuing in and around the country or the world as they stumble upon this video. So
absolutely. Now I'm super happy to be a part of this. Anything I can do to help grow our industry and help people grow in their careers, I'm there.
Thank you. And it cascades down through the whole company. I mean, everybody that I've interacted with at Texas Mutual, who for the entire time I've known them, are all still working there. No one has ever left. So it's a testament to what you're doing, but everybody is super helpful, and we're grateful to be partnering with Texas Mutual on early talent and emerging talent in our industry. So really appreciate you joining us today, Jeanette.
Absolutely. It was very nice. Good to see you again.
You too. Thank you. Okay. And join us and check out our other videos for the virtual career connections. If you're interested in learning more about insurance careers, check out the CISR high school program, or really any of our programs at Risk and Insurance Education Alliance. Take care.